Paul talked about, didn't he? We were talking about photos, and he said something really interesting. He said, we're about people. We are a church who are about people. So I want you just to keep that in mind as I talk about what we talk about, because I'm going to be talking about the building. We may be a people, but we are a community that are blessed with a fantastic building and various facilities and halls and so on. But if I can have the slides up, that'd be great. Our church building has been here for 90 years. It's getting a bit old, a little bit like some of us, I guess. And can you tell? Maybe we'll go on to the next slide. So this is our 90-year-old building. We know it well. But have you seen the signs of its age? Let's have a little look at the next one. And I wonder if you might just have a think about some of the things that you might have spotted in our building that you look at and you think, can't we fix that? Right, be good to sort it out, wouldn't it? Maybe turn to the person or the people around you and just share a couple of things that you've noticed about our building that you think would be better if we could get them fixed or repaired or changed in some way. Good. Well, I hope that's got your juices flowing and your minds thinking about some of the things that could be better, I guess, about our building. You're not the only, we've noticed this, and for a year now, a group of the PCC, or sort of subcommittee of the PCC, have been meeting and talking about what can be done about some of these things. So if I can have the next slide. Here's some of the things that we noticed that you might not have thought about. Our accessibility. It's not bad, is it? But there's things that could be better. Good, what's next? There's some other things. Our office space, top right there, it's quite small. We've got some carpet that could be sort of dealt with that's getting a bit torn up. And we've got this space between our buildings that seems to me a bit like a no man's land. And maybe there's something that could be done with that. What's the next slide? I can't remember. What about our environmental considerations? It costs a lot of money to heat the building, and that heating tends to just escape out of... I've lost power, I think. Yes, it seems to escape out of the ceiling. So I wonder if there's something that could be done, just better insulation, something like that. So there's lots of different things that we could be thinking about. So let's throw that back to you again. What are some of the things that you think we could be doing? Not just the things that are wrong and broken, but let's say I gave you each a sort of Harry Potter style magic wand and you could just sort of shake it on the church and make it exactly as you want it. What would you see? What would you do with that wand? How would you have our building look or feel or be different? Again, talk to each other just for a minute or two. So one of the things that I spot and I think about is if we can have the next slide, is just the idea that we've got this outside that we can see from the car park, but it doesn't tell us what's on the inside. And when I speak to people out in the community, they don't know what the building is like. And we've got this beautiful space next door that people walk in and they're kind of surprised to see it. It means it doesn't get used nearly as much, especially during the middle of the week, as perhaps it could do. So there's ways in which I think we can make that space more accessible for the community, and we can sell some of the history and heritage. Maybe not sell is not the right word, but communicate that to people. So it's an exciting time for the community because this group has been meeting for a year, and we're about to launch here this morning a consultation with everyone to ask you, what do you think we should do? Okay, so that's the objective of this morning. We want to get this afternoon. What is it that we feel needs to happen? We want everyone to have their say, not just the people here, but the people of Lee also, because it's many of them who do not know what it even looks like inside the building. The building development team have come up with 4 key objectives which I'd like to share with you now. So number 1, maintain and update an adaptable worship space. We would like to think about that worship space and maintain it. the paint's peeling, there's things that we can do, but we'd love it to be adaptable also, so that we can shift gears and move it around and do different things with it, so that it's not quite as static. And then perhaps we can allow the community to be using it at different times in the week. 2, renew and adapt our existing buildings to better serve the needs of local people. So it's connected, but talking also about our other buildings and our spaces. You know, what about small meeting spaces? How much need is there in the community for perhaps, I don't know, counselling rooms or meeting spaces or other little spaces? And what could we potentially be doing to provide some different kinds of hireable spaces that might be needed by our community? Next. We want to update the building to reduce our environmental impact. There's a number of ways we could look at doing this. So the power walls, ground source heating, better insulation, you name it. And we would like you to name it. If you've got good ideas, that's what this is about. And the 4th one is to promote the interpretation of the heritage of St. Faith's Church in order to engage the wider community. We want to sing about this building because it's lovely, and we want people to know what it's all about and engage the community with the heritage. So that's where the next thing comes in. What are we doing? Okay? Let's have your say. You're going to see some of these, this is just a draft copy that I'm holding, floating about in the community coming up. We are printing thousands of these and mailing them to everyone in the community. But we're here to talk to St. Faith's first, the people who are using the building most. So when you see these come through your door, you've got first dibs on having a say, okay? So inside there is a kind of a document, okay, well it is a document, but you can follow a QR code if you like, or you can look on the weekly notes, or you can get your email, and this will be coming up soon. You'll be shared a link to a web page that gives a few more bits of information, like I've been talking about today, and then invites you to take a survey, an online survey. Lots of questions, we've given it a lot of thought to try and find out what it is that you think needs to happen. What do you think of these 4 objectives? What would be your priorities? What would you like to see happen? So we're looking not just for sort of pie-in-the-sky ideas, but very concretely trying to tease out what are people's specific needs, so that we're not jumping the gun, we're not deciding what's a good plan and then just telling you what we're doing, but actually... Sorry, I realised I've dropped the microphone and the video people are not hearing what I'm saying. Yeah, we really do want to understand people before we sort of make any kind of proper plan. Another good reason for doing this is, obviously this is not going to be super cheap. Depending on exactly what it is we feel like we need to do, there's going to be a cost involved, and we want to really evidence to any grant funders that we might apply to money from that this is something that's necessary and something that's going to benefit our community. This is not just a sort of holy huddle, let's do some nice things for us, but this is about us reaching out and blessing and being a blessing to our community in this area. So if I could just have the last slide, which is what happens. You'll fill out the form, we'll analyse the data, we'll come up with some kind of plan in communication with everybody and the PCC. We'll speak to some architects to see if they can bring us some good plans of what that might look like, and then we'll have to think about what that costs and how to raise those funds. So just to say, I know that we've talked about a QR code and scanning stuff, and I know not everyone's techie, so there will be options in the building to fill out paper forms. But can I say at the outset, if there's a lot of information coming in, everyone who does a paper form, that's somebody who's going to have to sit and transfer that data onto the computer. So if you are able to, when you are able, I'd love you to fill out that form online, and if you feel that that's difficult for you, then there'll be paper versions available. So I don't have those things for you to do now, however, that QR code is live, so if you want to go back to the last slide, if anybody wants to have a look or have a go at some point before the close of the meeting, you would be most welcome. Otherwise, that will be widely communicated in the coming weeks. And we're going to run this till about June, we said, didn't we? End of June, middle of June. Yeah, I'm getting nods from the other building development people. So that in a nutshell, I guess, is where this is going. But Right now, there's other members of the group here. Michelle's here, Roland's here, Brian's here. I think John and Alison are not here, but Paul and I are here. So if there's anyone who's got any questions about any of this process, we would love to hear from you. Yes.